17, Georgia's Morning News. Zoller and Bryant, joined by Phil Kent. Pro-enforcement side of this immigration question. Phil Kent, you watch from time to time. You folks in the Atlanta area, certainly. Fox 5's Georgia gang every Sunday morning. Phil Kent, thanks for your time this morning.
Well, Tim, it's good to be with you. Hello to Martha.
Hey, good morning.
Starting the debate. What's wrong with that? Any problem with the way Isaacson and Chambliss voted yesterday?
Let the debate begin. I think that everybody on all sides now are geared up, and I think the main thing to emphasize with our senators here in Georgia is that they are not happy with the whole comprehensive immigration bill, and they're citing the fact that it's very porous border security provisions and the fact that our exit-entry visa system is broken. Virtually everyone on all sides agree with that. Look at the Boston Marathon bomber case. So I think that the Senate bill may pass. It's going to be close. It depends on what they do with the border. But as we know, the U.S. House of Representatives has said flatly, we don't want anything to do with this bill. It's amnesty and there's no border security.
Now, it looks like the delivering of Republican votes, Phil, is going to be on the shoulders of Senator Marco Rubio. And a couple of provisions are important. The border one that you alluded to, but the one you've been really concerned about is the English language provisions that are in this bill. Tell us your concerns and tell us the role you think Marco Rubio is going to play.
Well, thank you, Martha. Yes, I'm on the board of a group called ProEnglish, as you know, and you can check out its website at proenglish.org. And we are very worried about the whole prospect, and you've heard it over and over again, that, oh, yes, the amnestied illegals will be able to know English. Well, this is really not true. It's kind of like Obamacare, Martha and Tim. Hardly anybody read the bill, and we're worried that people aren't reading sections of this 1,000-plus page immigration bill. And basically, they're only said to be enrolled in a course. Well, that's too weak. And Marco Rubio even is sensitive to these criticisms. He's trying to crawfish just today. Pro-English has had an ad that ran yesterday and today in the Roll Call newspaper, a tough ad saying the Gang of Eight is a gang of liars on English, and they have been. And so there's no English test involved for any of the amnestied illegal immigrants who are going to be getting work permits or who are just simply amnestied.
What's the upside for these folks? Phil Kent with us, again, talking immigration this morning. It implies, I guess, that there's some upside to immigrants from any nationality, from any part of the globe, coming to this country and not learning English. It has been the history of immigrants for as long as we've had a country that they do come here and learn English. First generation doesn't know the language. Second generation does. Third generation runs for Congress. That's been the history. In fact, it's played out in Marco Rubio's case. Why would we assume that we need legislation to require these folks to learn English? They do anyway.
Well, the problem is more and more, Tim, they're not. I agree with you. The whole history of our country has been for new immigrants to assimilate and to learn English, our civics, and become part of our culture. Unfortunately, the assimilation is not working. We've seen this here in Georgia and in other areas of the country. We don't have English as our official language of government. Now, 31 states, including Georgia, do at the state level. But the problem is there's a highly vocal, multilingual lobby, and they want to balkanize the country. You even had Senator Kane just yesterday giving his arguments, in my opinion, for the first time on the floor in Spanish only, which I think was a pretty stupid tactic and just probably enraged a lot of people who want English as our common tongue. That's the tie that binds Americans. So Senator Inhofe of Oklahoma is probably going to issue an amendment saying that we ought to have English as the official language. Citizens take the English test, as you know. Why shouldn't amnesty illegals?
Now, one of the provisions in the bill has to do with you can't have, if in this provisional status, that the people that are in this provisional status cannot access any government services, benefits, welfare, anything like that. That also means they're exempt from Obamacare. Some people are saying this is going to create a class of people that are going to be cheaper to hire than an American citizen because they won't have to meet the Obamacare provisions. What do you think about that?
Well, Martha, you're making a very good point here, and this health care debate is just starting to emerge on both the House side and on the Senate side, and what happens with Obamacare, what happens with these low-wage workers. And you're raising a very good point. Let me add an additional point, too, guys, and that is this bill, and this is very underreported, this bill doubles the number of foreign workers that are allowed to come into this country. So that means we're talking 11 million plus illegals that are about to be amnestied if this goes through, but also the number goes to 33 million plus with foreign workers. And you know, a lot of folks, including me, say in this time of high unemployment, we don't need to double. This is in history, we've never done this, doubling the amount of foreign workers coming into this country and competing with Americans, especially teenagers, teen unemployment skyrocketing. Black unemployment has skyrocketed. This is just a really bad thing. I hope the House strips that out.
Phil Kent with us another couple of minutes talking immigration here. I want to circle back to the English language thing here. Martha whiffed on this earlier this morning when I asked her. I'll see what you can do with it. If English as the official language were the law of the land today, if that became statute this morning, what would change?
Well, what would change is a huge saving for the taxpayers in all 50 states and at the federal level. You would have basically documents, official government documents in English only, and you would be saving money on all the translation costs. I mean, think about it. If we continue down the road to, there's over 300 languages in this country. If we continue down the road to letting everybody have translation services, there's over 300 languages spoken in this country, and you're going to have lawsuits saying, well, wait a minute, I'm from the Philippines and I speak Tagalog. Why can't I go to Congress and have a translator in my own language? It's getting crazy already. So there's obviously exceptions to the rule. Obviously, in medical services, you have to have some translators, and there's some other safety issues. But, you know, by and large, let's just keep government, just government only, having English as the common tongue.
So it's your position that Republicans should reach out to Hispanic voters by saying, hey, we're no longer going to print ballots in your language. That's an effective outreach program, you're thinking?
Absolutely, because I see polls showing, Tim, most Hispanics are very proud to be Americans. They have assimilated. They love this country. The problem are the illegals that aren't being assimilated, that aren't learning English, and we're having to spend all this money on translation services.
Phil, give folks the website again if people want more information, and give them the best, advice you can give them on staying involved on this issue.
Well, thank you, Martha. Check out www.proenglish.org, and you can see our position on having English as the official language of government. You can see our position on the Senate immigration bill with regard to what we've been discussing with Marco Rubio. And Martha, I'm like you, and Tim, you've always advocated for people to get informed, stay involved, and I would urge our Georgians to call our senators. This Capitol switchboard is 202-224-3124, and give your opinion. This is a bad immigration bill that the Senate is considering, and I would urge folks to vote no. Urge their senator to vote no.
Phil Kent, you see him from time to time on the Georgia Gang. The website he mentioned, proenglish.org. Phil Kent, thanks for your time this morning.